This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally. Yes.
It's an absolute riot.
Woo!
And the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time. What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
It's Wednesday Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday, Season 2, begins August 6th, only on Netflix.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes, teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised. Cavalry Audio.
Three, two, one. Hello and welcome back, Murder Chronicles Nation. Hello, Carolyn.
Hey, Brandon.
How are you doing?
I'm doing swell. How about you?
I'm great.
I don't know why, but I keep wanting to call you Brando. I don't know why that is. All of a sudden, it just came to me, and I'm like, why do I keep having this desire? Like, you don't look like Marlon Brando. And
High
that
school
probably
nickname.
wasn't even a nickname that you
That
had.
was my high school nickname.
Okay.
It was my high school nickname forever.
That's it. I'm regressing back to I'm regressing back to high school. That's what you bring out in me.
So I've had two nicknames that stuck in my life. So it was Brando for a really well. They called me Booger Boy Brandon when I was a kid because of my older brothers and stuff. My older brother liked making fun of me with his friends. So it was Boog or Booger or whatever. But then when I was in high school, it was Brando. And then when I was working at a hotel for a long time, there were 3 Brandons that worked there. So they would.
So you felt really special.
They would hyphenate which was which one, and there was a Brandon who also had the last name beginning with M. So they couldn't just put Brandon M. So they put Brandon M.O. So I was BMO. I became BMO for a long time. The whole time I was at the hotel, there's still a ton of people that call me BMO. So it was either Brando or BMO. So call me either one. I'll answer it either. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to make it my own. I want to call you Booger Brandon. I think that is more fitting to our conversations.
My older brother still calls me Booga. Just
Booga?
Booga. Well, yeah. Well, and I'll look around at Christmas or whatever.
Gosh.
Just really, and I'm 10 years old again. Makes me feel loved. So you had a good week?
Had a great week. Yeah. Lots of good stuff.
Terrific. Same. And you're getting very creative with your writing with these episodes, with your opening cliffhangers and your closing emotional gut punches. And this week was no exception.
I vacillated on that because I was like, do I give it away? But I'm like, I want people this way to the Big Ten. This is kind of like a crazy story.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of when I was listening to all of the footage and reading the transcripts from the radio communications between the SWAT teams. It just I kept thinking of Apocalypse Now. I know that's a little grandiose for it, but it just felt like it was very palpable.
Well, what I couldn't get out of my head was one of my favorite movies growing up was First Blood. Did you ever see First Blood?
That Rambo?
Yeah.
I probably did, but I don't remember anything about it. What I really liked was Predator. That with
okay.
For that kind of forest action, it still stands up. My boys love Predator.
watch First Blood. I'm serious. Rambo Stallone plays this drifter in a Pacific Northwest town.
Oh, right. Wait a second. Was there like a crevasse scene where they're like,
yeah. They don't want him there. They're abusing him in the police
yeah.
station. He beats the shit out of everybody, and he
Yeah.
lives like in a bunker in the mountains.
Right. I do remember that because I think I watched that with my sons not too long ago.
Yeah, it's a fucking great movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept thinking of. Only in that case, Stallone is the good guy who was treated poorly. And in this case, it's a murdering fucking douchebag who killed his family. But regardless, the environment was very, very similar. And I was really, really surprised at how ill prepared the authorities were going up there. That really shocked me.
Right. I mean, I think that just it being April, our weather can swing so weirdly in the Pacific Northwest where it's April and you're thinking spring and everybody's got their shorts on. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, like, it's sleeting. And it like was so high up. It had its own, like the elevation was so high that it had its own climate, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, these were like the highly trained, like big guys, hence the
SWAT is like usually urban. They're like city dudes. You don't drop them in the middle of the fucking mountains.
Well, we're in the Pacific Northwest where there's mountains or there's trees everywhere. So it's not like LA.
It's Seattle. It's a city. It's a city.
When's the last time you were here?
Gosh.
Were you ever here?
Oh, yeah. Here's when I was last time. All right. Everything's the sports reference for me. All right. Whenever the Oakland A's were on their 20 game win streak, so 02 or 03, so 20 years, because I went up there to pick up a car in Seattle that I was driving back down to LA, and as I was driving through the Bay Area, I would over 2 days I picked up the local radio station for the baseball games. So whenever that was 02 or 03, so it's been a long time since I've been up to Seattle. But I love the movie War Games growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So I love how you opened it. Like in screenwriting, we call that an in-book opening. Okay.
Thanks.
Tarantino's very well known for that. So I love how you opened it because it makes me want to listen to how did we get here? How did we get here with 3 tactical SWAT teams, in a hailstorm or a sleet storm in the rugged mountains outside of Seattle, and they find a camouflage stovepipe basically coming up out of the ground. Well, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, super cool. Super cool.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's so like that's what I get lost in these cases where you get those details, and it's like you can't leave them out.
Right.
It's so fascinating. It's like, I know that people lost their lives, and of course that's incredibly tragic, but what, if I'm like, hey, Branden, what are you thinking about? And you're like, oh, I'm thinking about this. This guy's thinking, hey, I'm going to spend the next 8 years building this bunker and then kill my family and like stock it with all this. I mean, it's just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I'm not sure if he had a psychotic break or if it almost seems like some of his behavior was centered around like the extreme like beliefs of like a cult. Like if someone was saying, hey, listen, you can't trust anybody but yourself. The shit is coming. Build this bunker, arm yourself to the teeth, stock it with shit. Okay. Kill the people you love so they don't suffer, and then go. But he didn't say any of that. He really didn't say anything. But it's such an apocalyptic worldview that borders on like religious extremism.
I find it as like an apocalyptic midlife crisis. I mean, I feel like this guy was complete egomaniac. He, felt like, his wife and daughter couldn't live without him. Like what's that all about? And it's basically, domestic violence in that form that always is so awful, where it's not like, there was no record of him physically abusing her, but the mental and emotional abuse that that his daughter and his wife had to have gone through, because based on the fact, the breadcrumbs of it, like she didn't have access to his money. He probably made her feel guilty because she'd been in this injury, this work accident and was injured. And, when you're sick and, that's when your partner's supposed to be there for you the most. Right. And he probably made her feel like crap because, she was not healing the way that he wanted her to.
Right, and stealing her meds.
I know. Stealing her meds.
Siphoning off a little bit of like 1 or 2 pills per prescription so he could have painkillers in case of an injury when he's out there on his own. I mean, the guy thought of fucking everything. Thought of everything.
Thought he thought of everything.
Thought he thought of everything.
But at the end of the day,
the one bomb that he left in the safe didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they got access to that. And then the other thing that paralleled another story of mine in The Devil Within is that the kid, was lit the house on fire to cover his tracks. Yeah. But the fire department got there before anything happened. The fire department was there in like 5 minutes. And so, and that sounds like what this guy was trying to do also. He kills his wife and then puts her under a blanket. He kills his daughter and then he sets the house on fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he expected those, gas canisters to ignite and explode, and then it would make it to the safe. And then there was like the ammo in the safe and the pipe bomb or pipe something in there that he thought would explode. And, the detective called it. She's like, hey, if he would have been a better arsonist, we probably wouldn't have, she says they would have ended up finding him, but I don't know.
Eventually, right. She said he would have shown up somewhere. But then I'm thinking, listen, if he really, really, really wanted to disappear, why all the theater, right? Like, why the drama surrounding a booby-trapped safe where the only evidence is that could find him? Just fucking take it with you, dude.
That's an excellent point. I know.
So,
and it just happened to have those bunker. That's what I'm saying, the ego part. Like, she was like,
right.
Well, he made those to, and I just feel like maybe in his subconscious, he wanted to get caught. He wanted people to know what he did.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah. Yeah. And there was a little nostalgia mixed in with me too, towards the end when she was saying that over, the 8 years and the several, all the different treks up in the mountains that they think that he may have ridden a bicycle along the power line road and then hiked in from a different way. Where I grew up in North Jersey, it's the woods. It's like all Newark watershed up until the Allegheny Plateau. And we had motorcycles when I was a kid, like dirt bikes. And you could go for hours on these power line roads. And man, it was so great. Just the freedom being like.
No, I mean, I was too, because, growing up in the Pacific Northwest, my dad, he was a New York cop in the city of, in the city streets. And he couldn't wait when we moved to Washington when I was 1, his whole thing was about like getting, 10 acres and kind of building his, Shangri-La. And my sister and I would go visit in the summers, and it's like total wilderness. And we would just make forts. We would just I think I had slugs in my purse, like 5. I mean, I don't even know what the heck I was doing, but it was a time when, we were not, playing video games. We were out in the woods doing stuff,
Right.
And,
I was thinking about this guy though. How did he pick a location? Was it on BLM land? Like, was it like? Yeah,
it was definitely on
like federal land,
county federal land. Yeah. And so they actually had DNR, the people that are, maintain that land, help them kind of pinpoint, it was like so many different law enforcement agencies were a part of this, successful finding this guy. And the fact that they were able to pinpoint based on these,
that was super cool.
I mean, that is it's a feat in and of itself. 5 days later,
where the power lines are. The one guy saw a stump that he recognized on the ground from a picture. That was great. That would have been a lot of fun. But I'm thinking about, so he finds this location.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite parts in the Shawshank Redemption was Andy Dufresne's favorite hobby was taking his wall out into the yard, one handful at a time.
Yeah,
right?
it'd go like that with
dropping it through his pockets.
Yeah.
That was a huge excavation that this guy had to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's alone. He probably never saw another freaking person up there. And I'm just wondering of the of the construction of it all, because he put like concrete footings down. He had 2 levels. That means there were like rafters and there were like floor beams and shit like that. I mean, that is
next level.
That is next level. And to have it ventilated and to have it irrigated and he had lights. Like, where's he getting lights? What did he have a generator?
Well, so yeah, he did have a generator, and he was making this water wheel. That was his.
Right. The water wheel was going to eventually be his power source. Right.
Yeah. But what I can speak to that, because so many clips that I had that, of course, I couldn't include. But he would take all these videos, and as I was watching him, and he would video himself doing the work, and I think his driver's license said he was like 5 foot and like 155 pounds or something. So he's not a huge guy.
5 feet tall?
5'5". Sorry.
5'5". Okay. Okay.
5'5". He seemed really, and it shows him like he sets up the camera and he's like moving this huge log. I mean, this huge, you can imagine this huge Pacific Northwest, he's taking the tree down and he's got this chain and he's doing it by himself. And I'm like, and everything that he brought up there, all the tools, like the 30 to 50 pound packs that he would take with him every time, and how grueling. And to do that weekend after weekend for 8 years. But during these videos, the sensation of just absolute loneliness, like him just being in the woods by himself doing this project. And in some of the videos, he was like, I don't know what happened to me. I kind of blame my family. There wasn't enough, I was ugly. And, it was just really self-deprecating and just this really twisted viewpoint, because he had a family at home. He had a loving daughter. He had a wife that was injured, but I'm sure who loved him.
There's this great documentary called Alone in the Wilderness. This guy's last name is Prenicky, some weird spelling, I'm not sure. And it was in 1962 or 1963. He was like 48, 49 years old. And he just went up to Alaska and he never came back. And he had a little 16 millimeter camera and he would film these little clips. He was completely by himself. And he built a log cabin and with like a gravel floor and like a moss covered roof. And he dug down to like the permafrost. That was like his refrigerator. He had like a 30-foot tree house where it was like his pantry so the bears wouldn't get at it. And for like the next 40 years, he was by himself. Yeah. Like every couple of years, his brother would fly in on a seaplane and give him like bags of coffee and sugar and stuff. And then like, see ya. And that was it. And then the documentarians went back up there like 40 years later. And here's this old man like still doing it. Like still climbing up the ladder to his bear house to get like his oats, whatever, and like going down and still doing stuff. He wasn't running from a murder. He was just like running away from the things of man just because he wanted to be with nature.
Well, and so that's the part that drives me crazy about this, is because I love that. I watched the show Alone. I don't know if you've ever.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. Yeah, my daughter's.
Yeah, because I love the ingenuity and I love watching people like overcome their things when they want to quit and they have their family motivating them to keep at it. Like they're not doing it. They're doing it for themselves, but they're doing it for their family and how it's going to change their life and just kind of what the body needs to survive. The different berries that need to be picked and then put into cache later on to sustain them through the winter months when there's no berries, and they need to have certain fish to provide this protein and fats for this. But with this, it's so fueled by horrendous negativity and evil that it's like unbelievable.
He's just a criminal that had a cool place to hide out on the lam, and he was too much of an idiot for it to last long because he was out there for 5-6 days before they got him.
5 days.
Yeah. So it's just like all of these stories. I don't want to sound like a broken record. The headline is the tragic nature of them and the unnecessary loss of life and pain and suffering involved. But I think just below the headline is the manner in which the murders happened, the reasoning behind them. And this one is unique in that this guy kept his shit together for 8 years. For 8 years.
I know.
So how old was his daughter when she died? Was
18. She just
18. So because I
graduated.
heard the high school thing at the end.
Yeah.
So he watched her grow up from 10 to 18, knowing I'm going to kill you pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope you got into a great high school. At 18, that means that she was like, she went through the, like, looking at colleges process, boyfriends, like that whole thing that he was right there for, you know, knowing that he was, as soon as his little fucking bunker was done, that he was going to shoot her in the head.
I know. It's scary.
That's fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Not knowing what another person is thinking. You know, like I said, the analogy of like, hey, honey, what are you thinking about? I mean, who thinks that somebody's thinking about killing you and devising?
How do you get away? How do you get away? What would you say to your husband if for 6 or 7 hours every weekend he was gone? He's like, I love hiking. That was the only explanation.
You know, it's funny, as I was thinking about that, as I was watching the videos that he was making, he was getting super dirty, as one might imagine. And it's almost like I looked at the bunker as a crime scene, you know, because he's stealing away here. Yeah. And he's like going there, you know, week in and week out. And, you know, he's got the perfect cover. I was just deep in the woods, you know, these Pacific Northwest woods. But, you know, they had their process. And I'm sure that she was thinking, well, you know, it's better than him going out and drinking, or him going out and, you know, doing other things, going to Vegas with his buddies all the time. So, you know, I think that, you know,
so much
normalized behavior.
So much worse, though, is what he was actually doing.
Right. I mean, who could have even imagined?
Because I go out, I don't do shit on weekends. There's so much stuff to do around the house, but like 3 days a week, I go out running, you know, and there's these great hills, you know, the Hollywood Hills, there's great trails, and I'm up there. But if I if I stop on the way home and take a business call, right? So I'm on the phone for a half hour. My wife's like, you okay? Like, where are you? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm good. This guy got like a 6 or 7 hour pass like every weekend.
I know, but who's going to think that? I mean, I can see it from both sides, where it's like, she's probably like, hey, get out of the house, get a mental health break. Because he was probably really irritable and an asshole.
Yeah,
you know,
but every week?
He hates his job. He hates his job. He probably, you know, comes home and acts like she's not pulling her weight and makes her feel like crap. And, you know, I could just see the conversations, you know, even at the video at the end when she's like, my husband's so nice.
He's so sweet. He did this for me and he did this. And oh my God. I'm like, and she's, he didn't know she had a target on her head for 8 years.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hello, Nigel here. I couldn't help noticing that you're still awake. Now, I'm an owl. I'm supposed to be up at night, but you need your sleep. So if it's your allergy symptoms that are keeping you up, here's a word to the wise. Try Xyzal. You see, Xyzal works fast to relieve sneezing, runny nose, itchy watery eyes, and itchy nose and throat. And it keeps going strong for 24 hours, so you can get your sleep and wake up refreshed and ready for a productive day ahead. Be wise, all. Take Xyzal at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
Deborah had to have surgery.
I had hip surgery in November of 2024.
Her United Healthcare nurse, Crystal, checked on her.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell that she was struggling.
Deborah needed help.
My infection markers were through the roof.
And Crystal knew what to do.
I called the hospital and said she's coming in.
And got Deborah the help she needed.
Crystal and United Healthcare saved my life.
Hear more stories like Deborah's at uhc.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
Yeah.
It's not like that movie Free Solo with Alex Honnold, the climber, where his girlfriend's like, I know sometimes he just disappears and he'll be gone for a while and he's climbing some fucking mountain. But because you know that about him. That's not who this guy was.
It sort of was, though, because he's always got his pack and like what that he's doing. And they know that. I think that he was so low key about it, where he's like, I love, you know, people in the Pacific Northwest, people love the wilderness. Not everybody, of course. Yeah. But it's like, it's very natural. It's very natural that somebody would say, oh, this is my hobby and I love to do it.
Right.
It's
okay.
like,
That makes sense.
You set a precedence for it. And like, this is my this is what I do. I jog on a routine schedule too. And my family just knows that's what I do.
And given the locale in the region, that's much more acceptable for people to go out there and spend a lot of time in nature. But this guy's dedication, his perseverance, his patience is commendable, even though he's a lunatic. 50-pound bags of cement are a pain in the ass, and he was humping those things up into the mountain. That's insane. Mixing concrete.
You can't even imagine what this terrain is like. I know you can, but when you watch these videos and you see what he was carrying in these packs and how he was like, it looks like a regular backpack. It's like the extended one.
Yeah.
And he looks so mousy, and like you would never think this guy's got an AK-47 dismantled inside of there, bringing it up the mountain. I mean, nobody would ever think that.
Ammo boxes, right? Like woodworking tools, fuel canisters. Wow. Food, tons of food.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy what human beings are capable of doing sometimes.
And there was no indication, there was no like journaling from either his wife or his daughter that like, Peter's being weird lately. And, he measured me for a body bag, like none of that.
Well, I think that I put that part in there from the documents that I read. It was more like, I think he's going to leave me when Kayleen
graduates high school. Right.
Graduates high school. And it wasn't, she was, sort of right in that it was a short time after that, he murdered them. But I mean, I'm sure they had their problems, but I think that he presented, that was part of his like cloaking device. He presented as this regular working fifth, and just, there was one cut that I don't know if I put in there where he was like going to rob banks.
Yeah.
Like, at least
rob banks, take whatever I want. Yeah.
At least it wouldn't be boring.
Right.
Like to me, that's like selfish, middle-aged midlife crisis.
Yeah, fantasy bullshit. Right.
Right. Like instead of porn and having a mistress, this was his. This
be an
was
outlaw. Yeah.
Right.
Fucking loser.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something earlier that in this conversation, but also in the podcast, that he didn't feel like his wife and daughter could survive without him. So is your contention that it was a mercy killing in his mind? Mercy killing, that it was free. He didn't want to be married or be a dad anymore. And if he wasn't around, they were going to die a slow and painful death. So I might as well just end it quick and disappear in the mountains. Could that be in a nutshell?
I think that that's what he would try to say, but I don't think the evidence supports that. The evidence supports that, like, why did he have to kill Dino and the cat? Like, they could absolutely survive without him. I just think that, like we talk about with so many other cases where somebody could just divorce their spouse, but instead choose to kill them. Yeah. It's like one of those things where it was like, hey, it was a choice. You're choosing to murder these people when you could just walk away and go up into the mountains. If he thought that they couldn't live without him, he could have given them the $48,000 and change that he'd scurried away, and then just go up to the mountains. Like, here's some money to tide you guys over. I'm gone. You're not going to be getting any resources from me, and, goodbye. He didn't have to do this.
Yeah. Yep. Screw loose somewhere. Huh.
And that was another thing, like when he would look at the camera, it was almost like he couldn't bear to see his own reflection. Like there was many times where he's like kind of starts and then looks up and then starts like.
Because he knew what he was going to do.
Yeah. And that, and also he's like, I can't, I hate looking at myself because I can't picture, I know that this is how people see me. So, and I feel like people say that where you're like, they have no idea who I am. Right.
Right.
Like if you have an appearance of being someone who's soft or whatever, you appear to be fragile, but you're really not. You're badass in whatever way. I think he saw himself as this complete badass that nobody saw. And when he saw himself, he was like, I can't even believe I look like this because I'm so amazing or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, he had some evidence to believe that about himself. He had the perseverance to to build what he did up in the mountains, to trek in and out of there for 8 years, to do all that. I mean, that has to be a confidence building kind of thing. I mean, but the reasons behind it were just so fucked up, that it's just so weird to try and get into that mindset. Like, it's just such a weird situation.
And I think that that's why this case, I mean, as tragic as it is and was, that people couldn't understand it. It's like,
it's not a crime of passion at all. Right? It's like the opposite.
This was absolute premeditated,
long-term, 8-year. Here's what I'm going to do. As soon as I'm ready, it's going to take a long time. I'm going to go to work every day. Like, it's weird that something somewhere along the line, because we've all had these admittedly bad ideas, right, that are on the horizon, and then something like, oh, that was a really fucking stupid idea. I'm glad I didn't do it. Right? I'm glad that something came along and kind of nudged me off course, right? Usually a loved one or a kid or right, whatever.
Yeah.
That never happened. Like, he never had to, like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't kill my family and disappear into the mountains. He remained steadfast and fucking focused.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Absolutely. And when you think about the SWAT teams that were, needing, take a damn IV. Right?
Yeah. No, I'm cool, dude. I'm going to need an IV. Fuck that.
And had to crunch open his hand and all that stuff.
And then 2 hours later at dinner, he's like, honey, take me to the hospital. I need an IV.
No, I know. And that this guy was 5'5", bringing these huge packs, and just
built up a resistance. He got tough.
And he wore these big kind of baggy sweatshirts and Levi's, and you would never ever look at this guy and think
bad guy. Yeah,
he's can do these really physically fit things.
Man, well, so the investigators in this, because it happened so quickly, from discovery of the bodies to discovery of the safe and the pictures. And so very, very quickly, they basically realized they never looked at anybody else for this. No. They never even had the chance because they couldn't find him. And she said it. She goes, something like this, you always look at family first, you try and clear them, and we couldn't find this guy. So it became more and more obvious that he was a suspect. And then they pieced together from the pictures that he was somewhere up in the mountains. They figured it out. So it was a relatively very, very quick investigation, and it came to a close in a quick way. I commend these cops for going up there, because if you find one booby trapped thing in the house, you got to think that those whole woods are just a death trap.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And given the time, he probably would have made that real. That would have been another part of the fantasy.
And why didn't he? Because I didn't hear anything.
Well, like what she said, I think that he had in his mind that this is my go date, and he didn't prep the woods for any, none of the rifles and guns and the arsenal was even set up. He was in his socks and sweats, as she said. Like, he was actually even watching the sun. What does that show? The Sun's Always Shining in Philadelphia.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was watching that because it had been downloaded into his computer when they, raided it. And when they raided the bunker and then they saw his computer, he was watching it.
Okay. So he's watching a sitcom.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened.
So I think that, again, back to his ego stuff, he didn't think that they'd find him that quick. So he was not prepared. None of his stuff was together. None of his guns were in the portholes or whatever that were facing the creek, ready to.
Right.
That would have been a part of his fantasy, especially if he was, going to get gunned down. That would have just been like.
Return some fire and take some people with him. But he had that exit strategy all along. He's like, or I could always shoot myself. That's my exit strategy. I could always die. So, okay.
Mm-hmm. What did you think when you heard him, when you actually heard his voice after the setup of all this going on? What did you think?
Calm. I just kept thinking resolve. Just resolve. He's like, I didn't hear anything leading up to it, but you can imagine what his previous video logs were like, because he was just like, it doesn't bother me anymore. right? I'm not worried about it anymore. Whereas, so he did have some crisis of conscience maybe in the years leading up to it. But at that point, with the cuts that you played, he jettisoned any of that shit, any reservations that he had. And he was like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if things go south, I could, you know, I'll kill myself. So, I mean, it's just, what a coward. He waits till his wife and his daughter fall asleep. He shoots them in the head. He sets the house on fire. He runs away into the woods, into a little like fort that he built, like he's a fucking 10-year-old, right? And then as soon as the heat comes down, he eats a bullet. Like, wow, that's your legacy.
That's good.
Like that's what you have to show for your time on Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
Still fucking waste. Wow.
You know, but some of these doomsday preppers, when I was reporting, I interviewed this guy who like had built this crazy, like not a palace for doomsday, but you like a timeshare. And you like everybody like kind of joins into this compound.
Yeah.
And the way that he was selling it, I mean, you could tell he was a good salesman. And it was like at the end of it, I was like, well, maybe I do need a doomsday bunker because he was such a good salesman. And it's just like, it's a mindset. Like, this is what you do to protect your family. And I'm totally not into that at all, you know, because what are you surviving after this, you know,
that's what, all right, that's
a nuclear
my thing.
Holocaust. Like,
do you want your kids to see that? I don't
either. And I don't want to, I feel like we lived that experience because the time period we grew up with, you know, that was like
Cold War kids,
you know, like a pressing thing that we could get nuked.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's kind of like it's just a different mentality.
Because we want to put a pool in, right, in the backyard. Like every house in our neighborhood.
Wait a second. Let me just say this. I don't think that all doomsday preppers would do this to their families. I don't mean it like that.
No, I think they're the opposite. I think they're the opposite. I think they want to do this to protect their families. They're not going to kill people. Okay. What I wanted to say was that my personal opinion is that doomsday preppers are fucking weirdos, but it's what they do, and that's cool, and it's their thing. They're afraid of a usurpacious government coming and taking their fucking shit. Okay, great. That's what you want to do, and have a million guns and, you know, walls of toilet paper and freeze-dried fucking ice cream. Oh, great. Do your thing if that makes you feel good. There's a funny comedian who says, for all those like militia doomsday people out there who are afraid of your government, and you think that because you have a bunch of machine guns, you don't understand how tanks work. So, and that's a really, really good point. But then at the same time, I'm thinking we want, like I was telling you, we want to put a pool in. My wife really, really wants a pool in the backyard. And we've got this other section of our yard where I'm like, we could just dig that out and get one of those prefab like underground bunker things and just drop it in there and just have it. And just have it, right? Just who knows?
You're no fun. Oh my gosh.
Like,
are you a DIYer?
Oh, big time DIY. I build shit every free weekend, which aren't many, but I'm always building stuff, building fences, or I'm building little, you know, structures, or I'm you know, doing molding in the house, or you know, I building shelves for my kids. Yeah. I used to build furniture years ago. That was my job. And, I miss working with my hands, but that might be cool to have, you know. It'd probably increase the property value, you know. Could use it as a guest room, you know, when people are in town.
Yeah.
You know.
You're talking about this underground bunker?
Yeah. How cool would that be?
People use, when I was doing that story, I found out that people use septic tanks.
Yeah.
As their bunkers.
And they're nice. There's no, you could run power down there. You could be solar. It's vented, you know. It's like a 2-bedroom kind of thing. You can get like a 500 square foot like bunker. And I'm sitting there and I'm showing my wife. I'm like, look at this. It'd be great. This would be great. She's like, you're a fucking idiot. I'm like, no, it would be great. Imagine how cool it would be. We have family coming into town. Do you want to stay in the guest room or do you want to stay in the bunker?
But it might get a little exciting because there's earthquakes in LA, right?
Yeah, and floods and all that, and yeah, you never know. You never know.
And this is exactly the point where Peter Keller should have been talking to someone who basically said, this is a horrible idea. You know.
Yeah, but who did he have to talk to? Who did he have to talk to? He didn't talk to his wife. He didn't even like his wife. You know, he probably didn't talk to his daughter about anything because he knew he was planning to kill her.
He talked to his coworkers.
Maybe. It doesn't sound like he had much of a support
Well, he had a father.
Yeah. It didn't seem like he was talking to anybody.
I mean, that's not an excuse.
No, it's not. No, of course it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse at all. I'm just saying that, there's that saying that, you can show me who a person's friends are, right? And I'll show you, and I'll tell you who they are. Like you are, it's like hang around 4 millionaires and you'll be the fifth, right? Is the big one that you hear all the time. And so I don't know who this guy was hanging out with, but he sounds like he just isolated himself. Work, home, weekends, he was up in the mountains.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because he could have, when we see what he put into this bunker, if he would have tried to put that into his social game, or, I mean, we know he's really capable. Like, I just don't, he wanted to do this. He wanted to be a loner. He wanted to be, that's what I was saying earlier about watching these videos of him up there alone. There's something about when you're on a trail. I love going on trails.
Same.
But I don't like being deep in the woods. I don't
also agree. Yeah.
And he was deep in the woods. And that's the way that he wanted it.
Yeah.
Really. So I feel like the fact that he had no one to talk to was because he chose to not talk to anyone.
And that's the great mystery, I think, of this whole case. And that'll put a cap on it for me, is that sometime before he started construction on this bunker, something flipped in his mind that he wasn't going to deviate from this path. Something made it an absolute necessity for him. And you're right. If he had focused that energy in building a business, or in working on his marriage, or becoming a better father or a better friend or whatever, he could have probably done great things. But this, for whatever reason that we'll never know, this became his path. And he was determined to follow it through to the end, and he did.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
Shit. Woo! Wow. So nice choice for this week, and that was a nice surprise. I had no idea what to expect because you were mad at me last week, and you said I didn't deserve to know. And so, thank you for that.
It wasn't about the Bill of Rights.
It was not, unfortunately. I think people could learn a thing or two about that.
Oh my goodness.
But I enjoyed your storytelling in this. You teased us in the beginning, and then you really nailed the dismount emotionally there at the end. So well done. Thank you for that.
Yep.
And what do we got coming up? Any idea?
Okay, so I can share one of the cases that I'm researching right now. And I also wanted to pass along a thank you to Scott, who has reached out to us, and he wanted us to cover the story of a successful attorney who back in, I believe it was 1963, murdered or hired someone to murder his wife, who was only 34 years old. They had 4 children together, so he could get the $1 million insurance policy, run away with his mistress. But what's interesting about this case is that people think that the movie Fargo, the Coen brothers based it off of this investigation. They've never confirmed it.
Wow, that's super cool. So since it happened so long ago, is there going to be anyone for you to talk to?
Well, I reached out to a guy. The author wrote M is for Murder, and he's a journalist, and I haven't had any luck getting in touch with him. So if anybody listening knows this author, M is for Murder, I'm looking for him. So we'll see what happens. But I do think, I love the Coen brothers. As I was thinking about this story, I was talking about my favorite Coen brothers movie, which has to be The Big Lebowski. But we also, did you ever watch the one with the bowling? With what was that? What was that one with the bowling? Big Lebowski? No, not The Big Lebowski. Kingpin.
Oh yeah, with Bill Murray. Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh, that was like so awesome.
It was great. It was a
So
terrific movie. But Fargo could be a perfect movie. The Big Lebowski, I think, is a perfect movie. I mean, the
Big
Coen
Lebowski
brothers.
is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
I love that scene where Julianne Moore like is going across the ceiling.
Oh, to paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music that's like.
There's so many quotable lines from that. But the thing about Fargo, what I love about Fargo is it's interesting that you bring that up motivation-wise, because the movie never gives Bill Macy's character motivation. Like, we never know why he's doing it. And they just, it's not a plot point. It's just, this is what he's doing.
It so straight. It's like, he's like so annoyingly boring. It's like, I mean, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if I have any luck with that, but I feel like it'll be a really interesting one nonetheless.
Great. Well, thank you to our listener, Scott, for suggesting that case. You obviously got Carolyn's attention, so thank you for writing in. And we invite any other listener who has an idea or a comment or a concern or anything that you'd like to see different or anything you want to yell at me for, please. We're all ears.
We got a bad review, so that's some passive-aggressive mojo from Branden.
What? How dare you? I'm aggressive, not passive-aggressive.
You're that too, but also very passive-aggressive.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. We're going to wrap this up. Like we said, please continue to write into us. Your comments could help shape the content of our show, and we appreciate any feedback that we get. So, Carolyn, great job. Thank you very much for your work this week.
All right. Thanks, Branden.
Talk to you all next week. Thank you.